Zoom, zoom, motherfucker.
Should be your intro.
Hello, Andy.
Hello, sir.
And what are we doing today, Andy?
Power steering rack.
Today we are going to be installing the power steering. I haven't even opened it yet.
Oh, it's pretty light. I thought it was going to be...
It could be for the wrong car.
I thought it was going to be heavy. I almost threw it out. Well, do you want to do an unboxing video?
Sure, we can.
Let's do it.
This is a power steering rack from Rock Auto, 97626, 2.5 liter. However, I think the power steering rack is the same between the 2.0 and the 2.5 liter. I could be wrong. And someone just asked on Facebook, what do you guys think of the power steering racks from Rock Auto? And I said, well, I'll be able to tell you tonight.
That looks good.
Wow, that looks
Instructions.
really good.
That? Roman the instructions. Oh, it's clean. Oh. New bushings.
Oh, check that out.
Beautiful.
What are these guys? These are guys.
Doing shipping?
Oh, they went on the ends, I bet, and they just fell off.
Yep.
But there's 3 of them, because one would have gone on here too. Rock Auto, those are completely useless for you.
No, man, that goes right here.
Oh, it's an Andy plug.
Yeah, right.
That's nice and painted.
Yep.
It's brand new boots.
Oh,
They feel brand new.
Here's the other bushing.
God,
I think that's the one that goes here. Yeah.
That's really good.
It's a big boy. I've actually installed a set of polyurethane ones in my friend's super fluid flush filter. I guess it's been remanufactured.
Yeah, that's a reman. Just from looking at it, that is a quality unit. Brand new
And
bushings.
First thing you turn the car on, it leaks everywhere.
Yeah, right? Better not. Rack and pinion flushing procedures.
Got some little O-rings.
Nice. We have the factory workshop manual. We will be following factory workshop procedures. So this video will be a factory workshop procedure video formatted thingy.
Yeah, I didn't know you were into our RX-7s into the rotor.
That's a gasket for an exhaust.
Yeah, but it looks like a rotor.
Yes.
Air goes in, on the exhaust, seals go out.
I'm not familiar with the RX-7 community, but that sounds like something that would be a very popular saying over there. The apex seals, yeah. Okay, so we're going to read these directions and we'll get back with you. And before you even begin, make sure you get tie rod ends. So you will need a set of tie rod ends. These are replacements and they actually have blue seals. And that would be the castle nut right there. So this actually gets screwed onto the end of that. They gave us 2 seals, so if your kit doesn't come with those, you're going to need those, whatever those are for. I don't know yet, but it says critical components for proper installation, so you will absolutely want those. And that seems about it. You will have to buy the tie rods separately, and I suppose that is because you can still have good tie rod ends, and still need to replace the rack, and you can reuse yours. Got some new ones. Those were going to go on my car, but that's going to go on this car. So I had to go to the store to get, hold on, get a 17, don't prematurely evacuate. I had to go to the store to get a 17 millimeter in order to get these 2 high pressure lines off. Well, I guess that one's the high pressure, that one's not really doing jack. So Andy is slowly turning the steering wheel, and that is evacuating the fluid out of here. He's barely even turning. Okay. Alright, now go hard. Oh, I just got a big glob on my... Oh, it's so wrong. Oh, God. Hold on. I need to see if I can film this some way.
I went full lock. That's where the last glove came out.
Okay. Alright, go ahead.
That's the lock.
Alright, I think it's just about done. This looks so wrong. And that fluid is nasty. It's supposed to be like red ATF. It smells like burnt ATF. Yeah, that's as much as it's doing. Alright, so we have all of the fluid evacuated from said rack. And it's draining into the drain pan right there. And we've removed these two lines, which go over here, kind of wiggle around, wiggle around there. That's loose, that's loose. Now all we have to do is take off the line to the power steering pump and then start removing the rack. And there's only like 2 big bolts for the rack, maybe more. Now we have the luxury of not having an engine in said engine bay in order to do this.
We have a DJZ in
Yes,
here.
we have a big, I'm taking up most of the space here.
Yeah, there it is.
Zoom, motherfucker.
Should be your intro.
So now we just have to remove the hose from the pipe and the hose from the pipe that go to the power steering pump, which is right here. Hard to see, but that's the pump. Replace that with the new pump, hook it up to the existing lines, which we're going to have to check somehow, install the new rack, and away we go. On this side. Oh, it took the whole thing with it.
Hey.
There is a bolt down here that we missed.
Oh, okay.
Right there.
That's the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Should have gotten that one.
Yeah,
So live and learn, folks. That one, you just push this boot right up and you'll get to that one. No big deal. We can just slide this one right back up there, and I'm not worried about the position or anything like that. Now normally, if you were to take this apart, you would shoot it out one of these sides.
That one.
Don't know which side.
That one.
What?
Nice rack.
I bought it from Steve Jobs. This is my iRack.
Hey, you stole it from me.
No, actually, I stole that from Saturday Night Live.
iRack.
Yeah.
It will synergize with all of our eye products. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the eye rack. I'm going to put 21,000 more things in the eye rack.
Oh, the eye rack's on fire!
The iRack is on fire. So if you're going to pull it out of the car, you would pull it out one of these tiny little entrances, and you can see how small that is, right? So you have a lot of wiggling, and this thing is not light. We're just learning all kinds of cool stuff about how not to do it.
That's the best way, right?
Sometimes it actually is, because that's how I learn every time, and that's how I got so smart.
You gonna learn, Dave?
You got to learn the hard way sometimes. The pinch bolt on the thingy,
Thingamajiggy?
on the lower control arm. You know how it's got the pinch bolt there? You got to take it all the way out for that to work.
Well, that's what she said.
No, you got to put it all the way in for that to work on her. All right, there you go. Damn, no, that just slid right off there. Oh yeah! Shit! I don't know which way went which way. It does matter, dude. Look, they're different lengths.
The different shapes. Look at the shapes. Look at the shapes. Look at the opening. One is square, one is round.
Ah! Whew. Save my bacon there, buddy.
I could just see you trying to, like, Jeremy Clarkson that bitch.
I would do it.
Hammer time.
I would do it. I would learn the hard way.
Fix it with the hammer.
That's a nice U-joint.
Yeah.
That's like an industrial. If you guys ever need an industrial grade U-joint, that is well preserved. Make sure you label that one. Well, we got the new rack in, got the new pump on there as well. They're just sitting there. So everything basically looks exactly how it did yesterday, except for the fact that there's a new rack and a new power steering pump in there. We blew through the lines. All the lines were good. No obstructions. The stop leak didn't gum up any of the lines. We have not filled this with ATF yet. That is part of the priming procedure, and that is going to be done when the engine is back in and everything's hooked back up, because you can't do an alignment on the wheels with the rack using the steering wheel until the wheels are on. I am not going to go through that whole procedure today. Briefly outline it for you guys that want to do this on your Mazda 626, MX-6, Ford Probe, Protege, Telstar, maybe some other models, maybe some other Mazda vehicles and Ford vehicles can get useful information from this video. Put your tie rods next to your knuckle. Don't put it into the knuckle, just kind of put it next to it. Use your steering wheel, get it centered. It would be helpful if you have a friend helping you, but you can do this on your own. You come out here and you check and you make sure that that tie rod is going down into the knuckle, which is that part right there. And I've got my new tie rod on there and my new cotter pin already set to go. And as you can see, this hub and this wheel is relatively straight. And so that tie rod should basically just fall right in there if everything was done correctly. And you check the other side as well. And if everything is looking generally okay, meaning you've done your best to calculate and measure, and your wheels are straight, and those tie rods drop right in there, then you're good to go. Even if the steering wheel is not centered, don't worry about the steering wheel being not centered. Get your wheels lined up, get your tie rods straight in there. Then, when that is good, you bolt everything down, and it's checked. Then you go back in and you readjust your steering wheel. You take the steering wheel off, you move it over a spline, and you put it back on straight. Simple, easy, and then it's done. So when you get your new rack in, this is the old one, but when you get your new rack in, what we did was we measured from the very end of the tie rod to this end of the tie rod to tie rod. And you compared this tie rod with the replacement tie rod. It's hard to see here, but this tie rod here is about 2 inches shorter than the factory OEM tie rod. So that's going to throw off your measurement and your calculations a little bit, right? So you have to take that into account. Then we measured from the end of the tie rod, and we just chose a spot that would be the same on both racks, which happens to be this spot right here. So we measured from here all the way over to the end of the tie rod. And that gave us a measuring point from point A to point B, and then we just matched that up on the new rack and went from, it's actually backwards, so it would be from A to B on that side. And we made sure that that distance was the same, and then we did the same on that side, measuring and accounting for the tie rod length difference itself on the tie rod, measured from point A to point B somewhere here on the shaft, and then did the same thing because it's backwards on the car, so it would be from A to B on this side. And as long as that tie rod, the very tip of it to the very tip of this one, is the same exact length, and we measured that with a tape measure, as this tie rod from this side to that side, then you're good to install your rack. Install the rack, and as I said, make sure everything is straight and aligned. If your alignment was good before you started this entire procedure, those tie rods should drop right into place. That's how it's done. If your alignment was not correct, then that's basically how you do it to get it generally straight. Even if you do pretty much know what you're doing, you still want to take that in for a professional alignment service, because you're not going to get it exact. You're going to get it good enough to be pretty much straight, but not perfectly straight. And then you take that in to a professional that can do just minor little tweaks and make sure that even if it's like 2 degrees off. I think the max that you can be off on, I want to say toe in or toe out, is 8 degrees. It's not a lot of play, all right? So you take it to a pro and you have them tweak that. Get it straight, get to a shop, get in alignment, and you're good. So that's what we did. Andy was like, I just want to get it done. Let's just get this done. Andy was sick. He was freaking sick as a dog. He probably shouldn't even come up here. He was afraid he was going to get me sick too. You rarely see an 8mm bolt on the 626, but all these tiny little bolts that hold these hard pipes on are 8mm. That's 8mm, that's 8mm, that's a 10mm. There's 4 major bolts, one above, one below, and then over here, one above and one below on those collars. And that's what holds the rack in. So there's only 4 major ones that hold that entire rack on. And then all these tiny little bolts hold all the little pipes and stuff on. And then you have those 2 main connections there. And the connection on the left is the only one that really has pressure. The other side isn't really a pressure side. I'm not sure what that other one was for, because it did not work on that one. The right side did not work at all. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, if that's normal or not. I don't know enough about power steering racks. Those 2 main connections are the main connections that have to come off. Those 2 are what equal basically that connection into the reservoir and that connection. And then you have the one that goes down, the main connection that goes down to the pump. That other connection from the pump goes over there. It's a circle of power steering life that happens right there. But that's basically all we did. If you're doing a power steering rack replacement only, you only have to work on this side of the firewall. You do not even have to go inside the car at all, period. The hardest part of this job is just going to be getting to all of these bolts and fasteners. If your engine is still in the car, good freaking luck. We had a hard enough time with just the engine already removed and me sitting right there, with everything within an arm's reach working on it, and it was tough as it was. I cannot imagine trying to snake out the power steering rack from one side or the other. That is basically all of the area that you have to remove that rack from, and it's not enough. I couldn't do it. Andy and I actually tried to shoot it out one of these sides, either the driver's side or the passenger side. Could not do it. So we eventually said screw it and just boop, took it right out of the top. But we did try, and we major respect to anyone that can shoot it out one of those sides. I have no idea how you guys do that stuff. So good frickin' luck. You have my respect if you managed to do that, because I could not. So that's basically it. We got the engine mounts removed, rear mount removed, and transmission side one is still attached to the transmission. That mount is shot and stuck on there. That square bolt is spinning. I cannot get that one out. The front mount is shot. The rear mount is shot. If you've been following my channel, you know all about the transmission side mount and all the problems that came with that one. That one's shot. So every single mount on this car was shot and needs to be redone. You can look forward to a window weld mount video coming in the future. I think the only thing left to do is to fix all of the shot engine mounts or motor mounts or transmission mounts, and then reinstall the engine, drop the engine back in, and start hooking everything back up. That was like my main complaint. Getting the steering rack, a new power steering pump, making sure all those lines that had stop leak in it are gone, and we're good to go on that. So we're ready for window welding the engine mounts and then dropping the engine in. By the way, since this is all ATF, your power steering fluid is automatic transmission fluid. I think it's like Dextron 2 or Mercon 3. The seals that you would use in an ATF system should be nitrile rubber O-rings. Do not use the orange Viton style O-rings. They're not meant for ATF. If a Viton seal degrades from contact with a particular chemical, I don't know if it's ATF or maybe something else, it can degrade to the point that it will put off fluorine chemicals that are toxic to humans, and you have to clean that up using gloves. You cannot touch that shit with your hands, you'll get sick. And that's just the chemical degradation that happens to the seal from coming in contact with some kind of chemical. So if you're going to do anything with the power steering system, either regular rubber black O-rings or nitrile black O-rings, and you won't be able to tell the difference. They'll both look like regular black O-rings, but one's made out of nitrile and one's just made out of regular rubber. There's also other types of O-rings or rubbers that you can use with an ATF system, but the recommended one is nitrile O-ring, black rubber nitrile O-ring, for anything to do with ATF. Obviously, I didn't show the entire process because it just took too long, and it was a learning experience for Andy and I. And I would like to thank Andy for coming up. He was of tremendous help. We learned a lot together, as we always do, and in the end, we got the job done. And Andy was sick as a dog, and I hope that he feels better. I would like to thank Andy for coming up and giving me the motivation to start on this project again.